Greetings and welcome back everyone. If you like these videos, be sure to share them with your friends to help the channel grow. I'm CryptoSnake, back again to bring you some Bitcoin analysis. Starting out on the daily chart, it would appear that Bitcoin followed exactly as I laid out in the bullish scenario on the previous video with a savage pump back to the daily Kijun-sen. And we actually capitalized on Bitcoin's collapse last night with an absolutely savage short for some savage gains in the triple digits. And if we go down to the 4 hour, we can see exactly what this looked like. An almost perfect head and shoulders formation here, with the left shoulder forming here, head, and then right shoulder, and then utter collapse down. This also coincided with the 4 hour cloud and a descending 4 hour Kijun-sen and 4 hour bearish SAR. Now taking a look at some technical analysis today on the daily chart, the previous 4 candles posted a bullish SAR dot or a break, which caused this massive pump after testing this and broke up all the way up to around the 4420 level, before being rejected back down to the now descending daily Kijun-sen. Now normally with the daily Kijun-sen descending like this would be a bearish momentum. The SAR posting bullish is obviously a bullish momentum, so they are working against each other, which would explain some of the side trending today. Now if we take a look back at the historical perspective on this, normally when we take a bullish SAR dot flip here, we do get a savage pump up. But this is not the first time that the Kijun-sen on the daily was descending as we got a bullish SAR flip. This also occurred back in August when we had an almost 20% slow climb back up until another bearish SAR on the daily posted, and then breaking back down obviously. So if we're to take this as a reference, this could very well produce a very large pump on the daily. However, there's also several other instances in Bitcoin's history where we have posted a bullish SAR dot, had a savage pump, and then kind of just side trended. This mostly occurred in the past couple of weeks though. What I would like to see to actually see Bitcoin's price start increasing rapidly from here would be a plateau of the daily Kijun-sen, if not an incline of the daily Kijun-sen. Right now it is descending, so effectively the price will continue to follow this. It will very likely stay above this SAR dot around the 3580, so I believe we have found a bottom around 3700 depending on which exchange you're looking at least a temporary bottom until this SAR flips. Now as for the SAR, we have struck back into the relative strength index zone between 30 and 70. The relative strength index indicated by this purple line is the measurement of overbought or oversold. When the commodity is oversold, it generally tries to rebound back towards the middle, often overshooting and going back up into the overbought, trending back down again, and so on and so forth. So right now we have broken back above the 30. We are going to meet some support around that level, which also coincides with us meeting the bottom around the 3700 level. But today I also want to take an opportunity to cover some other indicators that might be useful to you as a trader. The first of which is Williams %R. It's very similar to RSI. It's probably a little bit more accurate overall. It's more of a measurement, not necessarily of overbought or oversold, but of the bullish or bearish momentum. So as you can see, we had a bearish momentum indication up here that we were very high up in the bullish territory, so we were very likely to break back down, which obviously coincided with this drop. We're now very much down in the bearish territory, indicating that we may have a bullish turn break back up, which caused this pump, follow this all the way up, and now we're settling down towards the lower end of this. This could very well pump, and that does mean that there is a lot of room to grow on the daily right now. This indicator can also be used on any time frame, so going down to the 4 hour, we take a look and see that we are again down in this range of the bearish territory, indicating that a bullish momentum switch should occur, pulling the price back up, very likely to pull us back to this 4 hour Kijun-sen around the 4108 level before possibly breaking down if this continues descending with the bearish SAR dots that have been posted on the 4 hour. Now another indicator that I want to show you guys, and we'll represent this on the 4 hour, is the Kappa curve. This effectively shows when the momentum starts to cease and starts heading back down. As you can see, we reached the peak around here, around 4200, where it started its slow descent. As this started to descend, the price also started to descend with it slowly, and then that starts to ramp up. This is a good indication for leverage trading. It especially applies to low leverage trading. For instance, a safe trade would obviously be to enter a short up at the top when you see this kind of plateau and start descending, and then close the position once you see this start to plateau. So if we see this back in action, you can see that it started to plateau around this area. You could open a short anywhere within this range, and then this descent started. You could theoretically ride this descent down all the way until it starts to ascend again. This would place the price somewhere around the 3800 level. Even though it wouldn't be for maximum gains, it's still a safe trade and would be around 9.7% or so. So this is just an example of the Kappa curve that you can use As for the technical analysis right now, the 4-hour has started to plateau around here. We may form a possible bear flag as this Copic curve is still technically descending, but it has fallen also quite a lot. And as we can see back here, it's a little bit delayed, so it's possible that this price could swing back up here somewhere around the 4100 level back to this Kijun-sen before this starts to ascend again. Currently this is a no trade zone for me, as we already capitalized heavily on this dip. I really don't want to hit the hammer twice and ended up getting burned. Now if we flip back to the daily chart, we can take a look at the Copic curve, which is very, very important for the daily trend. Now if we take a look back at the chart here, the Copic curve started to plateau around the peak here before breaking back down and settling around here. This would be a very, very nice trade to take advantage of on the daily. Again, back up to here, peaked and followed back down towards the bottom. Obviously the bottom here hit around here, so if you held onto that long enough, you would be able to exit near the bottom. Now as for the bullish momentum on the daily, it's not a perfect indicator, but very, very likely that we are going to trend up here. Now if we take a look back at the current price, we can see that the Copic curve is starting to ascend on the daily. Now this incline will include these fluctuations, but overall if it's a low leverage long, you're very likely to profit up until this plateaus. So this currently leads me to believe that Bitcoin is going to move more bullish than bearish around this location. Now before I get on with more technical analysis, if you'd like to join my free Telegram for insights on the market, including Bitcoin, altcoins, and a sneak peek to my personal entries and exits, join t.me/CryptoSnakePit. Links directly to the chat and a link on how to install Telegram, which is a free chat program used to communicate with my VIPs, in the description below. I've also launched my official Twitter, so follow me at CryptoSnakeVIP to get regular updates. The Gains Fairy is also back this month, giving us some absolutely savage gains for November. I'm getting excited to clear off this chart though and see what's in store for December, which I will be clearing off tomorrow. I also give out some hot altcoin swing positions every week. If you want information on how to get into the VIP group to be part of these trades, the information is also in the description below. If you have any questions on how to get into the VIP group, feel free to message me on Telegram. I'm always happy to answer questions. That's at @officialcryptosnake. Now let's talk macro scale on Bitcoin. Where exactly is Bitcoin going, and do I still believe that we are going to see a bull run and pump out of it? For that, we're going to have to take a look at the weekly chart for Bitcoin. Historically, the price will always try to rebound to the weekly Kijun-sen, whether descending or not. Right now, the weekly Kijun-sen is plateauing. I do believe we will eventually see a potential pump up to the 5100 level, whether that's in a couple days or in another week or so. Still remains to be seen, but the real indicator that I'm going to be looking for the bull run to continue is an ascending Kijun-sen on the weekly. That would instigate a massive, massive pump on a weekly candle close. Long term, I'm still fairly bullish on Bitcoin, especially moving into December. Normally, the November, December months are the absolute beginning of the bull run. However, this November has been absolutely awful for the beginning of this bull run, so that still remains to be seen. As I've covered in previous videos, I do believe this was instigated by the Bitcoin Cash scenario and the miners dumping the coin to get over into the Bitcoin Cash hash war. Now that they've returned, we are seeing a bit more life into Bitcoin, but it still will take a while to recover. Now, as for end of year predictions, I believe we may still see 12,000 if we're lucky. Obviously, an entire month in the crypto space can produce some absolutely massive, massive gains or massive, massive losses as we've seen. I'm just taking a look at some news really fast. Bitcoin's price ends November with worst monthly decline in 7 years. This is an absolutely insane drop. And actually, if we take a look back at the daily chart, we can see down on the willing %R, we are still down in this oversold territory. Similar on the RSI on the weekly. So this is very likely to pump back up with some massive, massive force. The last time we were up at the peak was around the 20,000 level. Now what's interesting to note about this is as all other crypto markets were falling, Bitcoin Cash SV was the only one to produce positively. This obviously was due to the Bitcoin Cash war. That's why it was producing so heavily. A lot of people were liquidating to get into and pick a side on that war. So we saw a massive drop off in the cryptocurrency market. And this chart represents the market cap for Bitcoin, which lost almost $70 billion to $90 billion in the span of a week. Absolutely insane. Taking a look at the overall market cap for the crypto space, we're sitting at about 128 billion. We're up very slightly. The altcoin market actually did see a bit of a resurgence yesterday from that massive pump on Bitcoin, followed by a sizable dump today. Now the altcoin market is also down somewhere between 3 to 8% depending on the coin. This actually isn't bad news though. If you have some liquidity on the side, this is the perfect time to pick up altcoins as they have gone discount again from this massive flash crash again on Bitcoin. Yesterday's pump on altcoins and revitalization should have been a very, very good wake-up call for people who think that altcoins are dead. This is the time that you want to pick up altcoins and hold them. Even if Bitcoin does crash even down to 1.8 thousand, you're still going to be getting a very, very good entry just to hold until the end of the year, because these altcoins do want to rebound. They want to rebound hard. So quite a lot of these altcoins are extremely oversold on the daily and very likely to rebound. Now, as for Bitcoin dominance, we are starting to descend slightly down to 53.5%, which saw some very nice revitalization into the altcoin market. We saw an almost 1% increase on the altcoin market just altogether, which doesn't seem like much, but that's a couple $1 billion at least. Now I'm going to go into some more news real quick before I get to some price targets on Bitcoin. The Bitcoin ETF, if you haven't heard, has been actually making some very good strides with the SEC. There's still a lot of speculation that the ETF will be approved. This obviously has been what we've been chasing for months and months. You know how I feel about the ETF. I really don't think it'll make that much of a difference. Now, the VanEck, SolidX, and CBO ETFs basically went to the SEC to argue that the space is not manipulated, which is kind of laughable. But they gave several examples of assets that already have ETFs: crude oil, silver, gold. And their argument is that these other markets are also susceptible to market manipulation due to insider trading and information. So their argument is that Bitcoin is just as manipulated as these other markets. So we may see a good decision out of the SEC from this. It really doesn't matter to me which way it goes. I'll still be able to trade the market and take advantage of these savage pumps and dumps. Now, another news story that I addressed a couple weeks ago, which is just kind of interesting. It's more of a blockchain adoption story. Siren Labs' $1,000 blockchain phone will start shipping in December. This is kind of an interesting project. You can basically keep all of your cryptocurrency on your phone, which is secured by the blockchain. Now, obviously, my concern with this is, what if you drop it in the toilet? I'm here to ask the hard questions that won't be asked. I'm just kidding, but overall, this is a very bullish story for the blockchain. It means blockchain is going to start getting some massive adoptions and hopefully get out to consumers, so definitely bullish for the space. Now, this news story is more interesting if you're a miner or if you know anything about mining. Asus, which is one of the major graphics card creators, is planning to allow gamers to mine crypto with their idle graphics cards. This is a way for people to make some passive income through mining, solving calculations for Ethereum to earn Ethereum, etc., or smaller based coins. What's interesting about this is that they're going to be using this quantum cloud system, so they're not actually going to be earning the cryptocurrency. So Asus is going to be using the power of all of these GPUs to basically crowdsource this into a mega miner to mine a cryptocurrency and pay them in PayPal, very likely less fiat value than it's actually worth to them. Now, all these graphics cards combined, if enough people get onto this for Asus, is very interesting because it would create a difficulty bomb, which could cause some massive price fluctuations for Ethereum or whatever coin they may be mining at the time, because they would have a very, very large majority of the hash rate. Back to Bitcoin to recap real fast. I see a potential pump up to the weekly Kijun-sen, up to 5,200 or so, a possible strike through up to 5,900 back to 6,000. We may very likely test this upper resistance area where we were holding support, but this would be a very, very long-term perspective on this. Short term, we're very likely to continue side trending in this area until the daily Kijun-sen gets some nice movement here, either up or down. Now, if the daily Kijun-sen continues to descend and we break through this support at 35.65 currently, or flip this daily SAR depending on where it is, we may very well see 1,800. Now, a price drop all the way down to 1,800 would put us at negative 90% or so, give or take, or 92% from the peak of 20,000. Now, historically, when we go on these savage pumps, we do start moving down and eventually drop down somewhere between the 85 to 90%. Now, obviously, the market cap has improved quite a lot since then, so this may not be the case this time, as we do have a lot more money in the market this time. We may have found support at 80%. It still remains to be seen, but there's still a very slight danger of us breaking down to the 1,800 level. Now, no matter which way Bitcoin decides to turn, I will give that update out to my VIPs, and we will capitalize on that movement, whether that's shorting it down to 1,800 or longing it up to 6,000. So that's it for today's technical analysis. If you do make any trades today, I wish you luck. Please join me in my free Telegram at t.me/CryptoSnakePit, where I give up-to-the-minute updates on Bitcoin and my personal exits and entries for the private VIP group. Also included is our private VIP chat, where you can chat with many of our experienced savage traders, get personal technical analysis from me, and answer any questions you might have. This is CryptoSnake, signing off.